Round 4. And what a fight, by the way. Wow, it's really heating up, isn't it? Oh, I can feel the tension. Everything is getting out of hand. In all seriousness, if you're still sticking around for this, fair play to you. You're doing better than I am. I checked out hours ago. But let's crack on and get this over and done with. So, we've all heard potentially that Mbappe is off to Real Madrid. Can you both argue the case for who is the best player to sign on a pre-contract? End question.
Do you want to go first?
No. We're all sick of you and Dan talk. Could you start, Aaron?
Yeah.
So basically, I'm going for.
So I've picked Dybala as someone who could potentially be signed on a pre-contract. I don't think. I think of all the others, his market value is probably still the highest. So I've picked him.
You're like an executive at Man United.
I'm trying to apply it.
Shit, but he's got good market value.
I heard Newcastle are trying to hire a director of football, so
is that what you're going for, is it?
This is my CV.
They're the levels of enthusiasm that are required.
One thing that's getting signed for him is his mother's little sick note for he can't make training today, he's injured his hamstring again. I'm not going for Antonio, I'm going for Andreas Christensen.
Strong start.
Very strong start. They begin with A, and I've had a bet.
He's jumping Chelsea defenders already.
So, yeah, I'm going for Christensen. And there is a reason why I did jump ship. It was a tough little fight between the two of them. But yeah, Christensen has been an absolute revelation this season. He's still very young. He's still got some great market value, which is what we all want from our footballers, Aaron. So
you don't?
Well, not with Dybala's market value. His paper hamstrings, or paper thighs, whatever he keeps on doing. Yeah, so I've gone for Christensen. I think he'd be a fantastic pre-contract signing.
I'm not doubting he wouldn't be fantastic. I'm just saying Dybala, but there's been bidding wars and everything over him, and I just think that what he could still provide to a team, having given a fresh start, I think is a lot more than what Christensen could give.
I think that
obviously it's two different positions. Yeah. But I think just in terms of if you put Dybala in most teams that were after him, I don't know, I haven't heard many rumours about who Christensen's going to go to, but Dybala's been linked with a lot of the top 6.
Can you fact check how many goals Dybala scored this season
17.
And how many goals he scored last season? All competitions?
Mm-hmm.
What, both seasons combined?
No, 17 this season.
So 17 goals,
3 assists.
This season, in all competitions, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how many last season did he score?
I don't have that off the top of my head.
Can you find how many he scored last season?
Last season?
Yeah, 2020 to 2021, because I don't think he scored very many goals last season. It's pen taker as well, isn't he? Other than when Bonucci's second pen taker, Dybala's first,
yeah.
Right?
So last year 5.
Class. I mean, that's what you want from this player with loads of market value. Full season scored 5 goals. Did it say?
Although let's be fair, the research was done at a minimal level. Yeah. I'm not going to be hired for any kind of investigative.
That's how many goals he scored.
It says 4 in Serie A and 1 in the Champions League.
Great.
Does it say how many appearances he had?
I mean, exactly. That's even worse. He's constantly injured. Tell me he's not injured. Is he injured right now?
No.
He's not injured right now. Did he miss the last Champions League game because of injury?
That was back in December. It's currently at the time of recording February 3rd.
Like,
I say that because we started recording February 2nd.
He gets injured a lot, Aaron. He gets injured a lot.
20 appearances in Serie A. 4 goals, 5 in Europe.
Serie A.
Top stats.
1
That beats Christensen.
5 and 26, we're talking.
So less than 1 and 5.
He beats Christensen.
And he's in Serie A. Oh, terrific. Fantastic. He beats the centre-back, barely.
This year, 11 and 23.
So he doesn't have 17 or anything.
According to last update, that is.
I thought that was in all competitions.
Yeah. It's all current competitions. I was going to say 17 is an unbelievably large amount of goals. I'm like, he hasn't scored. I was like, can you check? Because I don't.
I'll pull the graphic up.
Previous year was 17 out of 46, incidentally, 2019 to 20.
So that's where I looked at it.
Right. So, yeah, doesn't score that many goals in Serie A, which is getting a more attacking league. But I think this year has been the real breakthrough for attacking teams. I think obviously it's been propagated by Gasperini at Atalanta, the way he's managed to get some very good players to play beyond themselves. It sort of forced the rest of the league to play that way. So if anything, it's easier for him to score now, and he's still not really doing that much. But the quality of the league still isn't... Like, it's great to watch, I think. But I think in terms of the quality of the teams, Italian teams still really struggle in the Champions League. They don't go very far. It's just like the first time in ages one's even got... Like, other than Juventus, ones other than them have got through to the knockout stages. So I think it says a lot about the quality of the league that he's in. Christensen, however, completely changed his fortunes around. He was struggling a couple of years ago, particularly under Lampard, who isn't a very good defensive coach at all. There were suggestions he's going to be sold for quite a large amount of money. And then in comes a coach that just knows how to defend, and it's not like they play super defensive football either, and gets him to play football that I didn't think he was personally capable of. He's been absolutely brilliant. He was fantastic for Denmark in the Euros. He was brilliant for them. They had a very, like, sort of...
That was your timer. Stop talking.
They obviously have like
only.
They have a strong team. Like they've got Denmark have like an all right team, all right. But between him and Mela, I think they were the two standout performers for them in the Euros. And Chelsea kept an abnormal, freakish amount of clean sheets from when Tuchel came in right through the start of the season. It's dropped off recently because Reece James doesn't play anymore. Because there is a bit of rotation in there. But his stats are absolutely brilliant. He actually creates quite a few chances, which you'd think of Rudiger doing that, but he creates more chances per 90 than Rudiger. He has more assists. I think he gets goals. And the main difference is I think there's a lot of attacking talent that teams can go out and buy. Like Liverpool have just went out and bought Luis Diaz from Porto. I think you could go to any league and go, you know what, we're going to buy a player of Dybala's quality. It's really hard to buy a centre-back. There is a reason why Antonio Rudiger wants 400 grand a week or something insane. And it's because centre-backs these days are really, really hard to find. And I think Christensen is an intelligent, athletic, progressive defender. And there's just not that many of them out there. And also one of the reasons why I thought about switching from Rudiger was the pay demands. I thought someone might say, oh, well, who's going to afford 400 grand a week? Christensen's on nowhere near that. He's going to be relatively cheap. So he's not going to break the bank. He will really actually be a free transfer. But then I looked at the stats and I thought, well, actually, his stats are not far, like, some of them are way better than Rudiger, some of them are a little bit of a drop off, but all very, very solid. And I think he has been a major, major component in Chelsea's defensive change of fortunes in a very, very difficult league, especially when everyone's just trying to batter each other 5-0 all the time. They're just constantly attacking. So yeah, I'd much rather buy Christensen than Dybala, who was injured a lot.
I think just to try and come back against that point with Dybala's goals last year, thinking back to Juventus' season, they're going through a bit of a transitional period. It's the first time they had not won the league. But that was down to the bad management of Sarri. And so coming back to this season, they pipped 4th spot on the last day of the season. And if it wasn't for Dybala coming back in and being able to score the goals in the end, because he'd kind of been frozen out of the squad because he tried to force his way out to
Sounds
Tottenham.
what you want from a free signing.
But Tottenham were willing to pay close to 100 million or something like that for Dybala. it was like ridiculous money.
Have you seen some of the people that Tottenham have bought over the last few years? Seen who they bought with that Gareth Bale money? I mean, Tottenham aren't the team that you go, well, Tottenham were going to pay for him.
But it shows Dybala's quality when even when he wasn't having great seasons, people are still willing to put in like close to triple million bids in there. So Christensen, I wouldn't say is worth 100 million.
Dybala's not worth 100 million just because Tottenham a few years ago were going to. But I think when Tottenham put in that bid, it was a few years ago.
Because United tried to do the same as well, didn't they?
I remember when they were putting in bids and it wasn't 100 million. I remember it wasn't 100 million at all. But I remember when Man United and Tottenham had that little bit of a bidding war for him, and he decided to stay at Juventus or whatever. It was like last day scramble. Like if they wanted him that bad, they would have went in opening day. This is our big player, whatever. No, last day, and they're both flapping over him. Like it looked from the outside looking in like they had other targets. And go and get them. We'll go for him. And yeah, he's got a name on the back. We know that players are commodities, and that if you buy a player with a big name, Dybala was touted as being the next Messi, legitimately, and he's got a lot of talent, and he did have a lot of talent when that was coming around. But how old is he now? Is he 26 now?
28.
He's 20. He's 28. So he's got no potential left. This is him.
Most people kick on when they're 32.
Yeah, well, we are seeing the prime of Dybala's playing career. 5 goals last year. Class. That is his prime. Christensen's well younger than that, I think. You can fact check us. Christensen
I think he's 24.
Yeah. So you're going to, if you sign Christensen on free, you are going to get 4, if he's 24, 25.
You must have had a birthday recently.
Yeah. Thanks. You're singing for me.
Yeah, you are right. No, the 10th of April last year, so just gone.
Yeah, just gone.
He's So you're going to get a few years out of Christensen before he's even the same age as Dybala. What we're seeing now is Dybala is a player that you love, that you take the piss out of other people for loving, because he's hyped up by FIFA. He's got a class FIFA card. And I remember having him in my number 10 on FIFA Ultimate Team 6 years ago, and he'd rip everyone to shreds.
He still does, to be fair.
And everyone thinks he's great, and it's like, all right then. But his performances on the pitch don't actually... I never watch him and go, wow, what a player you are. You're worth 100 million.
You're missing out. You're missing out.
I'm not saying he's not he's a good player. That's what he is. He's a good player. He's not worth his wages, and he's not worth whatever Tottenham and Man United claimed the bid for him. I think that with Christensen, you get a player plays in a position that's more difficult to fill and to find players. Like when you see Harry Maguire going for 80 million, is Harry Maguire a better defender than who would you rather have, Christensen for nothing or Harry Maguire for 80 million? Whereas for Dybala, you could go out and find a better player for the same money. Would you rather, in fact, if I said to you now, would you rather have Christensen for free or Harry Maguire for free? Probably have Christensen. If you made it fair. Christensen, in my opinion, has been one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League this season. One of the best. Very, very best. I think he doesn't quite fall into the world-class category where the only players I'm putting in there in terms of centre-backs are Virgil van Dijk and Lucas Hernandez, Marquinhos, this very rare group of players. But I think his performances this season and in the Euros have shown that he's that next step below it. And at 24, just think of him at 28, 29, how good he could be. But Dybala is 28. We know how good he is, and it's fine.
I think Dybala would still start for most Premier League teams, though.
He's a big name.
He would walk into Norwich.
Yes.
That's if he could walk.
Dybala is not starting for Man City or Liverpool, and they're the two best teams in the league.
He'd probably start for either.
Whereas I think Christensen isn't worse than John Stones, is he? John Stones plays for Man City.
I mean, not recently.
Yeah, but I mean, they've got Laporte. Laporte is a player that I'd put in that world-class category now, by the way. I think Laporte's been the best. I think Laporte's went to the next up. I think Diaz has dragged Laporte back up and Laporte's pushed on. Personally, this season. But
is that a fair comparison, though? Because are Man City not more stacked further upfield than in defence?
I think Man City got one of the. If you look at their back four of Walker, Diaz, Laporte, and Cancelo, that's got to be one of, if not the best back fours in the world.
I mean, it is okay.
Like them in Liverpool, but Liverpool probably missing that second centre back because Matip's very good.
Van Dijk has to cover them all.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when Chelsea played maybe their full strength team, if you're looking at Chilwell, Reece James, I know that they usually play a three at the back with Rudiger, Christensen, Azpilicueta. That's probably their strength, or Thiago Silva. Then yes, they're probably the three best defenders in the world. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there is any better, and I don't think Bayern's is as good, even though they've got Lucas Hernandez, who I rate highly as a centre back. PSG's definitely don't. I think they are the best teams, and I think Christensen would be Van Dijk's partner at Liverpool. Dybala wouldn't play in
Liverpool or Firmino.
No, absolutely not, and he wouldn't play in Man City's team. He'd be one of the roundabout players that Tuchel plays in Chelsea that he get 2 games and get shipped off in 2 games and he'd be a Pulisic. Great, let's get Pulisic on a free. And again, it's
I'm sure a lot of people take that.
I mean,
very much would.
No, but I mean, Pulisic's another sick note, isn't he? So I'd say the longevity going out of Christensen, the fact that he's playing in a position that's really hard to find good players, defending's a bit of a dying art. I think it's been said for the last few years. And to get one that looked like... I think he's got great character. If you look at how he was playing, which wasn't very good 2 years ago, in where he is now, I think it shows the mental fortitude. I think he's someone that's clearly at 24, I know he's now 25, learned a lot.
Only recently.
Last year. I think you can see someone that's clearly grown, and if you're going to get that level of experience, he's won a Champions League. I don't know if he was in the squad that won the league with Conte or not. I can't remember. I think he might have been. He's won. I know that Dybala's won leagues. That's fair enough, but he's never won the ultimate prize of the Champions League. Like Serie A and the Champions League. Serie A nowadays in the Champions League, on very different levels, as Juventus have proven how difficult they found it to win it. And he's never really impressed me in the latter halves of the Champions League. And a lot of the times, Ronaldo and Mandzukic play.
Never.
Rarely. And against good in the latter half.
The time where he scored 2 goals against Barcelona and knocked them out.
But rarely. So yeah, okay.
It's just like you said, never.
I take that back, but rarely.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely does he do anything that blows me away against a tough opposition. Look, you want someone to bang you 2 goals against St. Petersburg.
Will you stop being so quiet, Dan?
Yeah.
I lose my train of thought sometimes when Dan goes off on one because I've been there so many times before. How would you like to come back all of that?
So in terms of, I think it just really depends on the destination for these 2 players. So Christensen would definitely strengthen, but I feel like Dybala would as well. But Dybala, whenever you make a signing, it's not just the impact on the field, it's off. And Dybala would sell more shirts, so commercially, the team would do better than Christensen. Would you not think so?
Yeah, no, I agree. I just love how you're thinking like a Manchester United chief exec.
Like I said.
If you look at Newcastle.
And so, in obviously that regard, in terms of player morale, I heard he's a good influence in the dressing room. Obviously, Pogba played his best football when Dybala was there, so he's a miracle worker. So I think Dybala has that potential. I think he just needs a manager like a Pep or a Klopp, like the high top end coaches that can really unlock the potential. The only person who's really got close was Allegri, and but that was when he played alongside Higuain. But Dybala has shown that he is capable of that. His ceiling is really, really high. Obviously, with a free transfer, there is that risk reward because there are some that pay off, and there's some that are just looking just to get a contract to make sure they get paid. I feel like if Dybala went to the right team, I think he has more of a chance of getting better if he went to a top-end coach. Depending on Christensen, though, we've seen, especially recently, how good he is, but we remember how bad he was. And I think that was no guarantee that he would go to a team and be still the same Christensen. Might be like, I mean, that's a massive risk.
Do you feel as if he'll get the best out of other players around him, or like more so than Christensen?
Because I think Christensen does so well because recently he's in a back three, kind of the Connor Cody effect, where he's good in a back three. Not so. I mean, in Denmark, he's got a lot of protection in front of him as well. I mean, there is that against him, but I feel like kind of cutting back on that because I am a fan of Christensen. Like, you could put that down to the inexperience of a centre back, how young he is, but there is just that massive risk. Does he need captains on either side of him for him to play well? Because he has Simon Kjær next to him in Denmark. Does he need a captain? Like, can he perform well on his own back? I don't think he can.
Well, I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that he can't. Like, we've got to think when he was making those mistakes, he was like 23 as a centre back. 23 as a professional footballer. I think we sometimes forget how young that is. I remember I was doing the 23.
Would you care to elaborate?
Absolutely not. Can't remember half of it, and you should know you were there. I think. But particularly that position, obviously that position and the goalkeeping position are the ones that take the longest to mature and that you sort of get the longest longevity out of normally. So I think it maybe just takes time to build that presence, but even talked earlier on about Nemanja Vidic, he was a number two to Ferdinand. There's a number one defender and a number two defender, and you need your number one and you need a number two, and whether he plays in
wise words.
Into very, very wise. We've been here long enough, and you both. So I think, obviously, he's proven playing a three, and that's absolutely fine. I don't think it matters who he's with because I think he's played with Trevor Shalaban there. Played really, really well. He's played with I can't remember the lad's name. Saar, is that his name? I was going to say Bar. I was like, no, it's not him. Just got a drink on my mind. So he's played with him, and I think he's played well with him. So I don't think he necessarily fully needs that now. And I actually think he's learned a lot. I think Thiago Silva's helped him immensely, being around that sort of personality in Rudiger. But every player needs to be around like that. A player like that at some point. Every single great centre half would have been around a captain, would have been brought up. I don't think we can hold that. Like, it's not like Dybala hasn't been with captains, Bonucci and Chiellini and Ronaldo up front.
At the end of the pitch, though.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not that far away. It's 40 yards away.
You try shouting, but with a stadium full of fans.
Play with Ronaldo. Paolo.
It wouldn't be loud enough, but you'd certainly be talking well beyond the full-time whistle.
Dybala will look back at Dan and look, he's still talking.
Yeah, what can I say? Like, you bullied us into silence now. So.
That's all we were after.
I know. But yes, to be fair, yes, there's a question.
Closing arguments, but let's try and keep it like 2 or 3 seconds.
Right, so 1920 out. Right. No,
Paulo Dybala was born in April on Christensen.
Under a new moon.
I think I've said all I need to say for a lifetime worth of debates.
Dybala's better.
Class.
I mean, that's powerful stuff, I've got to say.
If it was FPL, no, I'm joking.
Oh yeah, Christensen's got more FPL points than Dybala.
He probably has more fantasy UCL points than him as well.
I think he does.
He probably does.
Christensen has more Premier League goals than Dybala. What more do you want?
Well, round 4, strong start, fizzled out in the end. I think we can all agree. But this is where, when this obviously does very well and gets popular, the ads are going to be put in. So I'll see you after that. The crowd has gone silent. The sponsors, they've pulled out. I think they're livid, to be honest. The Chin of Jericho has won it. He's tapped out Aaron into submission.
Well, you know, some people use the crippler crossface. Some people use the Chin of Jericho. I literally do just talk people into submission. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. I don't know.
I think we're expecting more fanfare, but...
I mean, I can give this to the adoring crowd. Like, get up.
You're probably outside the camera shot.
Those will be there. Maybe next time I'll get some tinnies. Start smashing them together. Stone Cold style.
Yeah. I mean, that was class, to be honest. I've been on the edge of my seat only because I've been about to fall off it. Too many Baileys.
I also like how you're desperately close to giving that microphone a chipmunk. So that's had a great night.
It has to be fair.
Fantastic night. Anyway, that's the end of our first main event football fight. Did you enjoy it, Aaron?
I did. It was very different to what we had
normally
planned.
we agree. That's why we did this.
Yeah.
We normally agree on everything.
So we just had to make sure we get all the disagreement out of our system so that
We can be friends again for the second half of the Champions League, isn't that right?
yeah, which is coming back shortly.
So we will be... I need to take this not on my shoulder. It looks ridiculous. So we will be putting out more podcasts for the start of the Champions League coming up. We will be going through previews mainly. We'll be going through some team reveals, all that good stuff that you're normally here for. We just did this as a bit of fun, and we will be continuing to do this. Usually when the Champions League isn't on, it'll give us something to do. If you have any questions that you want us to answer like this, feel free to send them to us on Twitter. We are at UCL Fantasy Pod. You can comment on the videos. We are on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. Wherever you want to listen to, we will be there. Although I think this episode is probably best on YouTube. But it's too late now. If you listen to Spotify, you're fucked.
Enough said. Good night.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe it. It's all over. It feels like a mere 3 hours ago that we started this. But I'd like to say the main event would like to sincerely apologise for the content that you've just witnessed. Promises of more personal attacks and physical violence in the rematch are forthcoming. Be safe, stay happy.